match interviews, but Hendo, or my players told me that you want to get, what did you exactly to say?
Baba said, hit me up on WhatsApp.
But get in contact with me on WhatsApp. Here we go. Congratulations.
I'm a Liverpool man, and as much as I check for Brendan Rodgers, Kenny Dalglish, and them, man, for me, it's the testament of the man for him to do that. He didn't know me from Adam. And I've said this and I've talked about this, and, you know, of course, it was well documented. I went through my own little incident with the FA recently, and I came down and I said they had an opportunity to stamp something out, and I felt like they fully let me down. So to answer your question, what does it feel to me, or what is it to be a black? To be black, for me, it's prideful. You know what I'm saying? I'm a proud black man, and I will always be a proud black man. Hell no. Hell no. There was no accident getting promoted. Fingers crossed. I want to say no longer than 3 weeks. I'll be back. So if I have no setbacks, then hopefully I'll be making my debut in the Championship in no longer than 3 weeks.
Welcome back to another episode of the Beautiful Game content. If you like the content, smash that like button. Let's get this video to 1,000 likes. I'm joined with Dej. What are you saying, bro?
I'm good, bro. You know, happy to have this guest. I remember bucking them, you know, last year at Wembley Stadium on those Wembley arches. And do you remember, Bio? And we said, yeah, we're the Beautiful Game podcast. I would love for you to come on our pod. And, you know, for it to finally happen, you know, timing's everything. So massive love to this guest for coming onto our pod.
No, love.
All right, come on now. Come on. Sorry, was that my introduction for me to jump in and say, well, I'm low now, yeah?
Fam, take it away, bro.
All right, what's going on, fellas? All right. All right, listen, the blessing's mine, man. Real talk, the blessing's mine. Thank you for having me. You already know my faith in it. God's timing. God's timing. So, nah, man, it's a pleasure to be here.
Nah, pleasure. Love for coming on. Before we get into this, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're also on Spotify and Apple, the Beautiful Game podcast, and we hope you enjoyed today's episode. So let's kick things off. This is a man of many faces: gamer, footballer, gym, weightlifter, does everything.
Actor, author.
Yeah, that's what. Let's just reel off the list, yeah.
Pundit, you know.
Potential wrestler, we're hearing. Potential wrestler. Potential wrestler.
All right, listen. I just keep telling people, watch this space. Watch.
Been chatting to Vince McMahon, yeah?
Them man, listen, them man there. Like, that's even a funny story to how that came about. Sorry. This was about 2 years ago. The representatives at the WWE came into, I'm represented by WMG, so came into the office and it was like, listen, like, we like what's going on with you. Like, you're a big guy. Would you ever think about getting into wrestling? And I was like, listen, I'm a wrestling fan. Look, I'm a father of 5, so I love wrestling when I was young and my kids love it now. So I was like, listen, like, I'm a baller still, and I've still got aspirations to play this football game, but you never know. And that's how we kind of just left it. And then as the years have gone on, like last year, of course, still playing for Wycombe, got promoted, and they just kept on asking, am I still going to play? I said, I'm still playing. And then, of course, like this week, again, it's always just been there. It's never gone away. So like I keep saying, watch this space.
No, we're watching it. Bro. We're going to be watching that with bated breath. So obviously you're involved in, you know, many initiatives. And the one we want to speak about is Gamble, where there was a recent press release that said 83% of in-play gamblers are likely to bet more whilst they're at home. Do you think this could be, you know, because people are at home, this can be a possibility of people betting more?
Yeah, I do. I think like, even as like footballers, and I can talk to myself as a young footballer, there's nothing worse than having idle thumbs or idle fingers. So when you're at home and the world, and we all know we're in these uncertain times where the world's moving that much more slower, so we're at home. So therefore, we feel like whatever it is, we may need more of a buzz, more of a kick. So therefore, we are doing stuff which is kind of against the norm. So I do think that being at home, you can just get into a false sense of what's the word I'm looking for?
Security.
Security, that's the word. A false sense of security. So, and that's the reason why when the Gamble Aware hit me up, I was like, listen, I like the initiative. Of course, there was a wrestler theme to it as well, which kind of, I liked the slogan as well, which is saying, look, tap out before you regret it. And listen, we've all been in situations where we feel like, you know what, we should have stopped, or we should have allowed it there and then. And I think that this is a good initiative to say, listen, nobody's trying to stop you from enjoying, you know what I'm saying, or stop you from gambling. But listen, whenever you go into gambling, or whenever you go into anything actually in the walk of life, tap out before it turns into a regret.
No, well said,
110%. And I'm sure being in football, you see certain stories about players or ex-players saying that when they were in the changing room culture, they used to bet and it used to ruin their lives. So are you aware of any stories within your dressing room environment of people, you know, betting and it, you know, being to their detriment?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been in the game for 20 years, so of course, and I won't name names, but
yeah,
it has been, and of course, I'm sure it's still a problem in the game. I mean, you know, this is what I kind of touched on about that thrill. You know, some footballers, they play the game, the thrill of scoring the goal, the thrill of people scoring, screaming their names, and they kind of want to replicate that.
Yeah.
You know, when they're at home, and you know, sometimes it's £40 not enough, so therefore they have to go and up the ante. So listen, I know many stories, and to be fair, somebody close to me had a problem, a gambling problem, in the sense where they just couldn't. It was a problem, you know. That's just it. There's no two ways about it. They would go finish training, go to the betting shop, after games, go to the betting shop, and then listen. I'll always say this: the house always wins in the end. I don't care what anybody says. The house always wins in the end. So I don't care if you tell me you're up. If you know, you can have a good day, but what I try and say, 8 times out of 10, you're going to probably have bad days. So listen, I know these stories, especially the industry that I've been in, you know, for so long. So I know these stories. So that's why I do think these initiatives are good. It's just awareness, you know. I just keep thinking what we're trying to put out there, the more we can put awareness out there, the more we can pull it at the back of people's mind and put it so much that becomes to the front of people's mind is a good thing.
No, 110%. You couldn't have said that any better. So right now it's Black History Month, and it sort of falls at a time where, you know, the whole world's changing. We've seen the George Floyd initiative. So I'm going to start with a simple question. What does it mean to you to be black?
For me, what it means to me to be black is it's everything. Like, I'm a proud black man. And I've said this and I've talked about this, and you know, of course, it was well documented. I went through my own little incident with the FA recently, and I came out and I said they had an opportunity to stamp something out, and I felt like they fully let me down. And we are talking about like the powers that be. We're talking about the system, and we're talking about systemic stuff. And you know, sometimes. And I'll come back and I've said this, and I know race is a trigger word. The worst thing is I know it's a trigger word for some people, and I know sometimes it makes people feel uncomfortable, like, oh. And I know there's people that be like, here we go again. But if you're getting tired of hearing it, imagine how it feels when, as a black person or as an ethnic person, we are going through it all the time. So as much as you be like, oh, here we go again, that's exactly how we feel, where we feel like that we haven't got a voice, or we feel like we get pulled over. So that, I mean, and that's where I try and say to some people, you've got to have the empathy, in the sense of it may not relate to you because you may not get stopped because of the color of your skin, but I assure you, you have had an injustice for something that you have not done anything wrong. And that's everybody in life. So to answer your question, what does it feel to me, or what is it to be a black, to be black? For me, it's prideful. You know what I'm saying? I'm a proud black man, and I will always be a proud black man.
Big up.
So what did you expect from the FA? Because I remember the game against Fleetwood, they were cleared of, you know, any sort of racial language. So what did you expect from the FA? Or is this what you actually expected from the FA?
And you know, the crazy thing is, you know, and I came out and said it, I'm not actually surprised, but I was. If you know what I mean? You know, when you're like, you know what? I didn't even expect anything different. But then when it came out, you're like, raw. Even though I didn't expect anything different, this is what they came with. And that was the bad thing. I was like, how can you say that, you know what? They said it, but they can't deem it as racist, or they're unsure and they can't prove it as racist. That was the thing.
But isn't it up to you to say that, look, I'm racially offended, so it
Do
doesn't matter what they think.
And that was the crazy thing. And when I spoke to them and when I issued the statement, I never heard the comment. It was told to me 24 hours later by white members of my team who deemed it as racist. So, and we're talking about the FA, and we're talking about gambling. There was a stage at the early of my career when you was allowed to gamble as footballers. But you wasn't. The only thing is, you wasn't allowed to gamble in the league that you played for.
Okay, yeah.
Then it was like too much grey areas. Too much grey areas. Footballers can't bet on any football. It stamped it out. So there was no comeback. So if you bet, the FA was like, no grey areas. If you bet on anything football, you're going to get in trouble. They had the opportunity right now to stamp out anything racial or racial terminology. They had the chance right then to stamp it out and say, listen, no grey areas. Like whenever we want to stamp out something, we'll stamp it out. They didn't. They said, yes, we know it was said, but we can't prove it was. We can't prove it wasn't. So we're going to err on it wasn't. And for me, right there and then, let me know what these people were about. And that's when I say, I mean, they let me down. So going forward now, another person can say it to another person with no fear of repercussions. That's my thing. I'm like, listen, if we're trying to not only change the game, try and change society, they could have done something there, and they chose not to. So to answer your question, I was surprised. I wasn't surprised, and I was surprised. You know what I'm saying?
What, shocked and not surprised?
Yeah, that's what it was. Shocked and not surprised. I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's how you lot are moving. That's how you lot are moving. For all you lot want to talk and say, you know, you want a more together game and an inclusive community, you really don't, because you had an opportunity to stamp it out or to make a stand, and you chose not to.
So the comment we're referring to is a fat water buffalo, which obviously the FA, you know, said it could be racist or couldn't be racist. And again, to me, it comes down to the simple fact of, how does your boardroom look like? And I can assure you that the people making these decisions are white. So when there's no empathy, there's no feeling, and there's no decision that's going to be made. So, but yeah, Bayo, we want to move on to your playing career at Wycombe. You know, this season has probably started off a bit, you know, not the greatest. 4 defeats, not scoring a goal, second bottom. Obviously, Sheffield Wednesday at the bottom. Like, what's the feeling in the changing room? Because when Wycombe were promoted, it sort of felt like a fairy tale story, one of the low budgets in the league, but it's sort of been like a baptism of fire in the Championship for the team.
Yeah, listen, the worst thing is, we knew the game was going to be hard. We knew the league was going to be hard. Of course, we are learning on the job. And that's just what has to happen. We are learning on the job. So every training session, after every game, you sit back, you watch the video, you kind of say, well, what was wrong, what was right? And you basically, and that's what it is. Look, we wasn't the best team in League One, you know, and we got out of it. We're not the best team in the Championship. And if we can do the same thing and the goal, it has to be stabilising in a bigger division. That's what we did when we went from League 2 to League 1. The aim was to stay up. That's got to be the same aim now. So luckily, the league is not 4 games. The league ain't just 4 games.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But at the same time, we do know that the Championship is real. You know what I'm saying? Better teams, gigantic budgets, make a mistake, they punish you. And that's what we're learning, you know. So the changing room is sometimes as much as you watch it from the outside, because listen, we watch all these teams. We know all these teams. Every team is a big game. So I think it's the first time in Wycombe's history to be in the champ. But then it's the first time, even myself in 20 years, I've been at this level.
Yeah.
And it's the first time where every game I think we're favourites to lose. That's never been the case. That's never been the case in League One and League Two. You can look at it and be like, we'll get points there. We'll get points. Whereas here, we look at it and be like, boy, we got to be on our game every game. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's, again, I'm 38. So, and what I'm trying to tell the youngsters is, embrace the challenge. Like, I remember signing for Wycombe and we were struggling in League Two. And this is not to disrespect any of the clubs in League Two, but we was going away to Hartlepool, Grimsby. We was going away to those teams. And we're one of them teams. But now we're going away to Nottingham Forest, Sheffield Wednesday, Blackburn, Middlesbrough. So I'm like, listen, embrace the challenge. Embrace the fact that we've worked so hard to put ourselves in a position where we can go up against these. But at the same time, we are humans, we are footballers, and nobody wants to get an arse whipping every week. Do you know what I'm saying? So we're doing our utmost, and we'll do our utmost to try and get as many points on the board and as many goals.
I've spoken to a few Wycombe fans, and they've said that, look, we got promoted by accident. Is that how the feeling is within the camp? Is this like a free hit for you this season?
Hell no. Hell no. There was no accident getting promoted. I will agree with in the changing room, you always say, boy, what if? Because you have to. There's no point of dreaming small. You know what I'm saying? Like, reality is reality. So your reality, you may be in a small club or a small situation. So what's the point of dreaming small? So for ourselves, it was like, you know what? Boy, what if? And the worst thing is, as much as the pandemic hit, there is no denying, for the first half of the season, we sat on top of League One more than any other club, maybe bar Ipswich. So I know people will jump on me if I'm wrong. That's just what I think. If I'm wrong, it's cool, you can correct me. But I do think we jump, because they're quick to jump on me. One thing I've learned, when I be making these statements, they be jumping on me real quick. So I've never said, I say, look, to my knowledge.
Yeah, you got to caveat that,
Give
that wriggle room.
But at the same time, it's funny, but at the same time, it's what I do know was, up until the week of the pandemic, we hadn't dropped below 5th place the whole season. Then the week of the pandemic, because we didn't play the week of the pandemic, so we had an extra game. That's why we dropped down to 8th. But up until then, we hadn't dropped lower than 5th the whole season. So, of course, you can't judge momentum. Look, there's teams that, have been written off, then all of a sudden go on a bad boy run and either stay up, get in the playoffs. Listen, we can't control that. But what had happened was they had to do what the best situation was. And that was a points per game up until where we was. So that was the best situation. And, of course, for us, we knew we was going to be in the playoffs. So we're like, listen, cool, we'll do a points per. But when people try and say all this, we got into the playoffs, we beat, but we wasn't the favourites in the playoffs, beat Fleetwood comfortably and beat Oxford. So there was no accident to get to where we got to. You know what I'm saying? Once you're there, you then have to implement it and see it through. Like, I mean, we had meetings, we had 3 Pacific meetings throughout the season as players. And the first one you have when you come in there, and that's just the talk. Like, that's when you talk about what we can do this season, which ultimately, that you're just talking. Because it's the beginning of the season, and you're just talking. We had one at the middle stage when we started to lose. So we went on after Christmas, we started to lose. And we had a talk, and yet still we believed at that time. And then the last one was when we came back with the playoffs and had another talk. So listen, we believed. It's like you can't win if you don't believe. You know what I'm saying? Or you can't get out that league if you don't believe. So as players, we believed. But at the same time, there's no pressure on us. Like, and this is as much as, people want to say, and some people be like, yeah, good, Wycombe's losing, rah, rah, you don't deserve it. it really don't matter what people say on the
Of course.
outside because we're in the champ. So as much as these other teams want to say, well, you lot didn't get out of League One, so say whatever you want to say. What we did worked, and we have the right to see how we fare in league in the champ. So if we fall short, we fall short. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Life's
facts.
about trying. You get me?
Yeah. Yeah, so you said we believe, and obviously that culture has been implemented by Gareth Ainsworth. Like, he was the man that hit you on that WhatsApp, you know, and gave you that contract. So what type of manager is he? We see like the fancy clothes, the rock star boots. Like, how important has he been to your journey at Wycombe? Because it seems that both of you have a very, very good relationship.
Yeah, you know what the funniest thing is? I think even more what's happened in the world, say with COVID and that, you know, look, I'm about connections, innit? I'm about connections. And I dislike the fact that we can't even embrace. Say we was meeting, man would want to spud you and that, but all of a sudden, the way things is now, it's, what do we do? Do we do the elbow? Do we do the Bluetooth? And I just think even more, it reinforces the power of human connection. And that's what our gaffer is very good at. You know, we sign because of his human connection and the way he interacts with us and the way he talks to us. He makes, listen, tactical, that has a place in football, a massive place. But then also having that connection with a manager that makes you want to do more, that makes you want to go above and beyond. You know, you've heard the saying, oh, I'll run through a wall for that manager. You know, like, he's got that in the sense where he is a unique character. And listen, my ethos is nobody can be you or do you better than you. And that our individuality is the most powerful thing we as humans own. And he is an individual. So I feel that he is a unique character. I am unique, and we blend very well. You know what I'm saying? So I've got nothing but the highest admiration for our gaffer. He has been the most important signing. And I'm glad he's getting his plaudits. So, and that's it. Like, sometimes you want to do, not sometimes, you should always want to do well for yourself. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I also want us to do well for the gaffer, because he's worked so hard to get the team to this place. So of course we kind of want to work and achieve as a collective. And that's what he sets up. He sets up, you know, he's on the sideline, he's headering, he's kicking every ball. And that's just the person he is. His energy is infectious. So he's real positive. Like, we'll get an arse whooping and he'll come in the next day and he'll just be like, it'll be lively. And you know, I'm old school. So sometimes if we get an arse whipping, I'm like, yo, Bob, switch. Let us know it wasn't good enough. You know what I'm saying? But he's got a balance. Like, don't get the games. I keep saying he's got a balance. When he has to switch, he switches. But that is rare, few and far between.
Speaking of connection, that night where you got promoted to the Championship, the club that you support, Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp got in contact. How was that moment? Because you were written off a year ago. So how was that moment when Jurgen Klopp gave you that FaceTime and it went viral all over the internet?
Bob, it's still not. To date, it is the most humbling experience and feeling, should I say, that I've had as a footballer. Like, and for me, of course, I'm biased to the team I support in it. Like, I'm a Liverpool man in it. But I would say I'm a Liverpool man, and as much as I check for Brendan Rodgers, Kenny Dalglish and them, man, for me, it's the testament of the man for him to do that. He didn't know me from Adam. Like, don't get it twisted. I know Jordan Henderson and I know Virgil van Dijk. So we chat in it. But it's not like I've ever met Klopp or anything. And for him to watch the game and say, you know what, boom, I'm going to send this guy a message. You know what I'm saying? And he just won, or he just managed the team to win the Premier League. So it's not like he needs any plaudits. It's not like he needs any press. So for him to do it genuinely and authentically, and not to what he did to send the video, I just think, listen, and it's humbling. It is humbling. Sometimes, listen, look, talking about the post interview, listen, I get carried away, and I'm a passionate individual. Like, I just talk, and sometimes I forget the reach social media, television kind of hits. So then, of course, on the aftermath, you're looking back, and I was like, rah, I was really in my feelings at that time. But it's still to date the most humbling feeling I felt as a footballer.
Yeah, so us people from South, we always get questions. How can you support Liverpool, man? You're meant to be supporting Arsenal, Tottenham. Yeah. So how did you actually start supporting Liverpool?
So it was John Barnes. John Barnes was the reason why, like, I'm a Liverpool supporter. So my older brother's 3 years older than me. So he supports Liverpool. And then when I can remember, and it's funny because I've said this to Ian Wright. So if Ian Wright come on the scene earlier, he may have made me an Arsenal supporter. You know, that's how much of, like, the impact Wrighty's, you know, had on man, like both on and off the pitch. But it was John Barnes. And listen, when you're a youngster, I look at it like, when you're a youngster, you pick your first team and you ride with your first team. And that's what it was. Liverpool was my first team. I ride with them back then and I ride with them now.
No, definitely. So yeah, we want to go into, you know, more life outside of football. And the first question I want to throw at you is that, why is it so important to you to build your brand? Because you're a footballer, but people know you for your brand, that beast mode. Why was that so important for you to build?
You know what it was? I started, so I'm 38 now. So I started 8 years ago. I started building my brand. And the truth of it is I played my entire career in the lower leagues. So I knew I was going to have to work when I retired football. And that's just the be all and end all. And, you know, football is a bubble that sometimes can detach you from the real world. Like, as much as we turn around and be like, oh, yeah, you know, we had a long day. But our long day is finishing at 2 o'clock. That's our long day. You know what I'm saying? Worst case scenario, double session, depends where you live from the ground. 3 o'clock, you're leaving the train. And that's a long day to us. So there's a bubble. But even at football, and like, don't get the game twisted when I'm trying to say, we get our meals done, we get given our drinks. 9 times out of 10, we get our washing done. So we get a very much helping hand in football. Like, but at the same time, there's so much that goes into football. So you have to stay on it physically and mentally. And you have people critiquing you every game, every week. So there's a balance that comes with it. It's a catch-22 in the sense where, yes, it is a real good job to have. But at the same time, you know you have to work at your craft to stay in it. But my thing was like, listen, I know I'm going to hang up my boots and have to work. So I have to build something after the game. And this is what I say to the youngsters now. There's 24 hours in a day. So even if you spend 4 hours at football, 5 hours at football, you've still got a massive percentage of hours to be able to put in to do other things, to better yourself. So,
yeah, but Bayo, what about the cynics that say, but you're not playing well, you don't care about football, you haven't been consistent, you're not playing to the level that we expect. So
that is nonsense. That is nonsense. Let me tell you why it's nonsense. Let me tell you why it's nonsense, yeah? And this is what I keep saying. As soon as you put football in front of anything, all of a sudden they feel like you're not a human person. They literally feel like you're not a human person. As soon as you become a footballer, they're like, yeah, man, come to the job. So tell me, at any walk of profession, you can come and give somebody abuse and just say, yeah, take it. Say you go to a bank and start calling the bank a big-headed something. They'll be like, yeah, but you're a banker, big man. Take it. But that's what they say in football. They say, yeah, if my man comes and he's ripped me, yeah, you fat or you something, and then I punch him, they're going to be like, well, what are you doing? You're a footballer. It comes with the territory. So all of a sudden, they're like, oh, because you play football, you should do nothing else. That is, for me, what has perpetuated this whole thing saying you can't multitask. And I'm not saying that, oh, yeah, go rave on a Friday night or go party on a Tuesday. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, look, go work at your craft, put the time in on your craft, and then also, if you need to be able to find something that balances you, So whatever it is, if you've got another enjoyment or another passion, which knows how to put that balance in the sense of, because this is what I was saying about, you've got to be on your game physically and mentally. And the mental side of it is probably as strong as the physical side of it. If your mind's too tense, if your mind's got 100 of things running for you, you would not be able to perform. And that's anything. But people want to turn around and say, well, what you got on your shoulders? We're paying you this. What have you got to be? And for me, it's like, stop that. Like, and that's the thing with football. When you put football, all of a sudden, footballers are not human beings. They'll be like, yeah, but you're getting paid that, so take that abuse. Or you're getting paid that, so you should be able to do this. Or you'd be like, raw, stop that, yeah? Because them people at Amazon, or them people that own Barclays, or them man that's on 6-figure salaries, but you don't say, oh, because them man are earning that or owning companies, they should take all the other side of it. No, it's just because all of a sudden there's a stigma in football. And that's why for all them cynics that turn around, especially them old school man that turn around and say, nah, I didn't have social media. Yeah, you didn't. Because social media wasn't out at the time.
Yeah, it's a warped mindset. It's a warped mindset. Like we see players like Lingard, Pogba, you know, Mason Mount, all these people getting stick because they've got outside interests. And doing this, we speak to a lot of footballers off camera, and some of them like their fashion, some like their gaming. Like, as you were mentioning, it's about what makes you tick, you know? You're not just going to be sitting in your room for go trading, come back home and sit in your room for the rest of the day. You need advice to,
I get you. And the worst thing is you can't train for 20 hours in the day. You can't. So whatever the balance is, and it's the funny thing is, and this is what I think older people have to understand. I keep saying to my kids all the time, yo, go out and play. Like my sons, they want to be footballers. So I'm like, but you ain't going to be a footballer by playing FIFA. Like, but go outside and train. Yeah. And then I say, see, when I was young, and I do the same, when I was young, I went out. And the thing is, it's like I went out to train. But what happens in society and in this world, it evolves and it moves on, period. So the same distractions I didn't have when I was young, my kids do have. So you can't do it. You can't say it the same way. So it's the same. I was like, when I was younger, I could go out and play in the park. I don't let my kids play in the park just freely. So the same sort of things that I had that shaped me, I will restrict my kids from having, but also give them more. So how can I give them more and then use it against them? So my distractions and their distractions are different. So then therefore, they have to get a balance of maneuvering in today's society. So they'll be talking about Lingard, Pogba, or all them man, and what they only seem to see is the negatives. They don't know how much good they do with their social media, with the power. And this is what I'm saying. When they got social media, the NHS will say, or the FA, or the Premier League will send videos and say, put this on your page. Let's get it out there. You're a big responsibility. But it's okay when you don't want to get a message out, but it's bad when they want to get a message out. I'm like, listen, like, I beg. Like, we are all humans, and whatever works as in a balance. Some people may need it. Some people may say, you know what, I can only focus on football. That's their vice. Nobody's saying that's wrong. Nobody's saying that's right. That's their vice. But if somebody's like, look, you know what, I got up at 9 o'clock, I trained till 3 o'clock, I'm going to a business meeting, and I want to make a fashion line. But why is that any wrong? How is that going to deter them from doing well on a Saturday? As long as they're not on their feet the whole day on a Friday, the day before a game. Listen, I think you will know they know sense of that.
100%. Yeah.
And also, they've got to stop this whole stigma of, you know what, allowing bad days to determine your life. So if you have a bad result, again, I'm not saying to go out clubbing because but if you've had an event booked weeks on a Wednesday, you played on a Tuesday and lost. It's like, well, listen, yo, I'm filming. I've got the kids rolling in. Hold on.
No worries.
I'm filming, so y'all don't keep the noise, please, down. All right. So when you've got an event, it don't mean that it's like people want to see, the only way we can see that you care is you kept away, or you kept your head down, or you cried, or it's like, no, man, like I care, man. You know what I'm saying? But the game's gone. We move. Like the next thing is I'll train better and I'll work, but I still got this event that I put on to start my lineup, and that's just that. Again, it's each to their own. I disagree. I think that you can have multiple stuff going on, and it's a balance. It's whatever stimulates your mind. It's whatever keeps you at a place where you've got enough respite mentally. You know, they'll turn around and be like, listen, we just had a game, come in for a warm down, we need you to recover. But as you resting physically, you have to rest mentally as well. So whatever allows you to switch off and have the balance, I think is equally as important.
No, Bio, yeah, we see you're a man of many talents. We see you doing a podcast with Laura Wood, Super Six podcast. We see you on Soccer AM. You know, you're going on Saturday Social. You've been a pundit. So you're 38 now, and we sort of had a similar discussion with JD. He said he's trying to prolong his career. With you, are you sort of saying, this might be my swan song, this might be my last season in professional football?
Nah, you know what? It's not even... I've always said this for the last 3 years. I've said, however my body feels at the end of the season, it will determine what I do the next season. Like, for me, as long as I enjoy it and my body holds up, I'll continue to play this game. It will get to a stage where I feel like I can't do what I want to do. And I always hate to feel that I'm a passenger and that I'm getting carried. So the day where I feel like, you know what, brother, I can't go on the pitch and be beast mode, fam, I'm gonna hang up my boots.
But with the nature of your game as well, obviously occupying centre halves, do you think that maybe gives you more life in the tank? It's sort of similar to like a Peter Crouch. We know the game. We know you're not going to burst down channels and out sprint.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%. But my game style, it enables me to be able to play the way I played and the duration I've played. There's no, listen, people are faster than me in League Two. People are faster than me in the conference. There's that, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's not, I'm comfortable with that. You know what I'm saying? So I can get to the champ and not feel, oh, right, these players are so much faster than me. One thing I will know, and this is not an arrogance, it don't matter if it's the conference or the Prem. They're not stronger than me. So I'm comfortable in my game.
I think the FIFA stats show that as well, man.
Yeah, say no more.
Strongest player, come on.
Listen, I don't want to brag on that, but let the world know. But yeah, so for me, you know when it be like, oh, you know players, that whole game is getting around the pitch. Be like, oh, you know what? Their game is just their pace. That's their strength. Mine's never been that. So, of course, when I play and I'm not moving or mobile around the pitch, it's okay. It's we know he's not going to do that. But as much as, and it's funny because I was chatting to a manager yesterday about it, as much as my legs may getting slower, I think that my mind's getting sharper in the sense where I know don't go there because you won't be able to get to that point. So stay at this point, and then hopefully by that time when you train, the team will know that and then get the ball to where I want to be and to be the most effective. Saying that I've come to live by, I think when you're young, you try and impress. When you're older or when you're more comfortable in yourself, you do your best. And that's just what it is. So doing your best, you may fall short, but you can look at yourself in the mirror because you did your best. You can have that understanding and say, look, you know what, I did my best. They were just better than me. Or the centre half, the team was. But when you're young, you're more focused on, brother, I've got to impress the manager, I've got to impress the players, or I've got to impress the fans. So you can never really question yourself truly enough because you're trying to impress. I had this whole thing with the beat test. I used to hate it because in my mind, I used to be like, wow, man, I have to try and get 13 or I have to try and impress. Whereas as I got older, I was like, listen, as soon as I'm dead, I'm out. Like, it's done. And if that was at 9, that was at 9. But I did my best. So I'd walk out and I'd say, yo, listen, you see my heart? It's on the floor there, yeah? My lungs, it's on the floor. I did my best. Be that 9, 13, or whatever it was. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what, the more we can do that, the more we can start looking at ourselves honestly enough and say, listen, stop trying to impress. Let's do our best.
So,
we'll
Bio, in regards to your injury, obviously Wycombe fans want to update to see where you are because they need you out on that pitch. You know, they need as many players to help as possible. What sort of update can you provide them with? Where are you in your recovery?
Listen, I think I'm ahead of schedule, which is good. Surgeon said 12 weeks until back training. It was 11 weeks. 11 weeks on Monday. So I was back out training this week, did some running, still sore, still got to get used to the pounding, the everyday pounding. But fingers crossed, I want to say no longer than 3 weeks, I'll be back. So if I have no setbacks, then hopefully I'll be making my debut in the championship in no longer than 3 weeks.
No, fingers crossed, man. Hopefully the rehabilitation goes well, bro.
Blessings.
So let's talk a bit about, you mentioned it earlier, FIFA. You're the strongest player on the game.
Hey, say that again, though. Say that again. Just because I don't
You're the strongest player on the game with the 99 strength. Yeah, I'll put it out there. Obviously, FIFA 21 was released today. And, for a special episode, we're going to actually be giving away a FIFA 21 for a lucky winner. Whoever leaves the best comment will be in with a chance to win FIFA 21. So, yeah, just talk to us about your collaboration and some of the work you do with the EA FIFA.
Do you know what? It's funny because, like, I love the journey I have with EA. And I love the journey I've had with FIFA. EA, listen, I was ambassador for Madden. I did the UFC, can't remember which one, about 3 years ago. And then, of course, with FIFA. So my relationship with EA, I've got nothing but love for them. And it's funny because I've said this story before. I was a Pro Evo man earlier in my career.
I used to bang them, but I won't.
Bro, no, let's not start that conversation, bro.
I was letting them man know, but don't get twisted because FIFA then got much better. So I've said that. So, you know what I'm saying? I won't try to mess up my bag and that. You get me? Nah, listen, I was a Pro Evo.
Are you good? Are you good, though?
What, the game?
Yeah, a lot of people say, yeah, I'm this at FIFA. Then when you play them, I'm like, what one?
No, listen, let me tell you something. Real bars, look, I would give you an arse whooping. I want to try and get listen, I've got my blue controller very close to me.
Yeah.
Like, right now, if I played you with this controller, you maybe score 1. Yeah? Hold on 1 second. If I bring out this controller, know you're scared and you're never going to never score again. If I bring it, listen, there's levels to this, yeah?
What, so you're unbeaten on that, yeah?
Yeah, like, if I play you on this, you can be like, oh, yeah, maybe I'll score a goal and talk smack. If I bring this one out here, yeah? Lie. Okay.
Bro.
Let me just say.
We need to definitely set up some meetings, man.
I say let's, but a lot of people have been saying this. I've lost friendships over this game. You hear what I'm saying? I've lost friendships over this game. No, but look, just because I've been busy. But before this, what I'm saying, when I talk my talk, I would need to go into my little dungeon, play for 3 days just to get my fun.
Get warmed up, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But no, man, when I was doing FIFA a lot, I was playing the game a lot. But yeah, no, listen, I've got nothing but love for them, man. Even though sometimes I feel like they disrespect my stats, like I may be getting older and that, and then man just want to make me slower just because I'm older than that. I was like the last season in League One, they gave me a stats. When we got promoted, all of a sudden I was less. I was like, bro, listen, bro, judge me on what I did that season. Don't judge me because of my age. So sometimes I can put it on them a little bit and chat to go to the HQ and that and try and, manhandle a few people. But I'm a lover, not a fighter. But you know what I'm saying? Other than that, listen, I'll say it's humbling because I was doing all this work when I was in League 2. So I was the first person outside the Prem to have my face in the actual game. When stuff like that happens, you can't help but just be like, oh, you know what? God's working here. Do you know what I'm saying?
No,
and that's just the feeling. And I laugh, I joke a lot, but I also know that I am humble with it because of the opportunities that I've been able to have. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, facts. Yeah.
Nah, man, it's been dope. I can't lie, man. It's been good.
Yeah, so what's been your favorite moment of the collaboration? Because we've seen you with Ramos, we've seen you meet the massive names in football. So what's been your favorite moment?
That's hard, man. That's hard.
You got to keep those relationships, boy.
It's hard. Do you know what? It's for me, this is what I'm trying to say. I mean, I went to an NBA game. I did something with FIFA for, I think it was Nike I did it for, and it was a FIFA collabo. And then I went to the NBA game in the O2. So, of course, I met Ronaldo. So I met Ronaldo like R9. Like, you know what I'm saying? For me growing up, he's the best striker. So when I met him, and listen, I don't know if he was just being friendly, but he was acting like he knew me. And that was humbling. You know them ones where I don't know if he was just in game mode, like, oh, I was like, oh yeah, man. You know, so I was like, right, this is R9. So that, you know, I said, met him, and I was like, yo, this is mad. And Neymar was there. Like I met Kaka, and like Kaka knew, man. So that was like, right. So, and then I went to the NBA, and this is when it was like Kevin De Bruyne, sorry, Hazard, Giroud, and it was all these mans. And as I was bopping past them, all I was just hearing them say, peace. And I was thinking, raw, wait, these men who I be watching, them man be knowing. And I'd be like, yeah, but I'm going to be getting a 97 strength. And that was when I kind of realized how powerful and how big FIFA was, and that it is such a big community, but a small community. That's what FIFA did for me. And it was just like, it was just humbling. Whereas like all these players, which I'm like, but I'd be watching, like, you know what I'm saying, I look up to, I'm like, these are the elite. And then it's like, raw, these elite know me. And like I keep saying, like, I don't sugarcoat it. Like, I didn't get to the elite level. You know, I didn't get to the Prem. Only last season got to the champ. So I played predominantly in my career in the lower leagues. And to have these elite players know me, it's humbling. You know what I'm saying? So there are moments where, like, on a football level, I tick off and say, yeah, you know what, decent.
You'd love to see it, man. You'd love to see it.
Sorry, Nick. If you want to name the top 3 players that you've played on FIFA, who would you rank number 1, number 2, and number 3?
Top 3 players. Who give me? To be fair, he's not a player. He's a YouTuber. Don't know if that counts. I played Manny.
The Liverpool fan, Manny.
Yeah. He gave me an arse whooping. I'm not gonna lie to you. But to be fair, I was catching a flight, so I was catching a flight like later on in that day. So I did try to want to get out there, but to be fair, I think he's a problem. So I would need the security and my white joypad just to control it to try and deal with it. He was decent. Who else has I played that beat, man, properly? To be fair, Andy Stewart at at Wycombe, he's a good player. Up my centre half, he's a good player. And then I've got these young pups which talk a good game, but they do have a lot more time on their hand. So that's what I've kind of clocked now. Like these young pups, like even my son. Like I used to give my son a good arse whooping. And then I played him 3 months ago, and he taught me a lesson to where I grounded him. I was like, what? I was like, nah, you better go to bed, yeah. Because I'm petty. Listen, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm petty. So I had to let him know. But yeah, so these youngsters, they talk a good game. So the 2 I would say, Manny was a problem, and Stewart was a problem.
Shobo Yoruba.
More now. I can more understand.
Mobo, me or so.
Yeah,
one of them ones.
That's what I wanted to say.
Just for anyone listening, I understand, but I can't speak it. That's what
Yeah. That's it.
We were gonna put some subtitles.
I know when I'm in trouble because Mum just drops the Yoruba on me real quick.
Yeah, so you want to talk about your Nigerian. You want to talk about your Nigerian heritage. Have you got any hopes of them hitting you up on the WhatsApp? You know, playing for them?
Nah, let me tell you something, man. I ain't gonna lie, but my body can't maintain this international. I chatted to Verge yesterday. He just finished the game, and he said he's got a game. He's got 2 more games before he comes back to Liverpool. And I'm like, what? Like, that's 3 games in 10 days. And then he has to come back to Saturday, Tuesday. I ain't gonna lie, my body can't handle it. But, of course, this ain't me. If they ever hit me up, I know it'd be the proudest moment for my parents, you know what I'm saying? And for myself, I'd be like, yeah, come on, man, a super ego and that, you get me? And I get to rock the kit legitly, you get me?
Yeah.
But, nah, listen, and this is not being what's the word? Not sour grapes, or not, to be fair, not even sour grapes. Not even. There's nothing I need from football anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm at that stage where I can go in and just enjoy football. And you know what I'm saying? I think, you know, when you're younger, you know, there's a need. You're like, oh, I need to do this to get this. I need to do that to get that. There's a want. Listen, I want to win as many championship games as possible. You know what I'm saying? There is a want, but I don't need anything from football. And that's the luxury I get at 38, in a sense where I'm like, well, I'm just going to enjoy every moment, every game, every training session, just because you can't beat time. And that's just
Father Time is undefeated, isn't it? As
yeah,
we say.
but you know, I don't care how strong Beast Mode thinks he is. Beast Mode can't beat time. You know what I'm saying? So that's one battle I 100% know I'll lose, sort of thing. So for me, for the game is whatever happens, happens, and that's just how I've been, especially the last 8 years. Like whatever happens, happens, and I wish a 21-year-old Akinfenwa could speak or have the same mentality as this 38-year-old, because I just think that you look past a lot of things that's in front of your face when you're younger. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot more cloud, whereas it actually is simple. You know, you take it, like enjoy it, work hard, and that's the words I would say. I work so much harder now on my game, and I've got less time than I did when I had more time, and I didn't have to. It's crazy. Do you know what I'm saying? So you put in the work, and 9 times out of 10, listen, you put in the work and you get your rewards. And that's just what it is at the moment. I'm enjoying where I am in life.
Yeah, so in terms of African cuisine, obviously we're all Nigerian here. Like, what's your favorite Nigerian dish? Are you a rice man or Eba? Swallow.
Listen, Eba is solid. Like, don't see, for me, it's easy to say jollof. It's easy to say, you know, jollof, drop the soya, plantain. That, you know what I'm saying? That's nice, isn't it? Like, don't get the game twisted. And it's funny, I won't ever order Eba. I will order jollof and lamb soya. You know what I'm saying? That's what I will order.
That's soya, man.
And they chop up the onions with that sprinkle, that pepper.
Listen, just a little bit of the pepper, because I can't. As much as I'm a Nige man, I can't. The missus can handle pepper. Like, I can't actually handle pepper. Like, and my kids have got it from my missus. They got the pepper. They like pepper. And whereas me, I'm real soft, like as big as I am. But you know them ones where you're eating and you're sweating, you just know, like, oh, bro, this is a lot. You know what I'm saying? But like if I was to pick an ideal meal, it'd be Mumsy's Eba soup, bam.
What soup? Obono, okra, what type of stew? Egusi. Obono.
It's Obono soup for me. Like every now and again, man will have the okra, but it's Obono soup. It's Obono for me out here, and then a bottle of Fanta. You know, you can't.
The Nigerian bottle.
You can't beat the traditions. You just can't beat.
Bro, you can't. Undefeated.
Can't beat it.
So yeah, before we wrap up, we just want to dive into a few listener questions. Obviously, when we put out the tweet, we were really inundated with an avalanche of questions. So I'm just going to kick things off, and this is Nabilionaire, and he said, did he ever think his size would be detrimental to his chances of making it pro?
Yes. Not that I felt it would be, but when you're always hearing that, I felt that I still feel that it's restricting me. I feel that in life, there's a mechanism in the human brain which makes it easier for it to work and put people in boxes. So footballers ain't built like me. I get that. But I kept on hearing, well, you got a good ability, but you're a bit big. So I'm like, the ability for me is the harder bit. You can work somebody to get fitter. You can work somebody. So when you're hearing that a lot, it does penetrate and have you thinking. So did I think that it would stop me? No, I never thought it would stop me. But I also knew that it would play a part in restricting me. It'd always be, but. But at the same time, I believe you control your own destiny. And I wasn't going to allow anybody that I met temporary to have a permanent status or, you know, on my life going forward. Excuse me, sorry.
No, facts, man. Facts.
Hold on, stay there, so I'm going to get some water. Hold on 1 sec.
All right, bro. We've got a question from El Nino Pelumi. That sounds like a Nigerian name. He asks, where is he from in Nigeria, and have you ever been back home?
Okay, so dad's from Ebekuta.
Abeokuta.
Abeokuta, yeah.
Gotta say Nigerian bio,
Yeah,
man.
you know what? But you know the worst thing is, like, my mum keeps saying that I've got to commit to it when I say it, innit? But then when I do, but it comes out wrong. So I just say it very British, innit?
Yeah.
Abeokuta. But that's when you write it, Abeokuta. Just like when she calls me, it's Bayo. You know what I'm saying? You know, people call me Bayo. Bayo. It's like, nah, man, listen. Like, it's Bayo. Like, yeah, man, I'm not good.
You got to do
Bayo.
the mouth,
Yeah,
the
man,
sound
good.
effects, everything, kid
Mum,
it?
it's all that, you know what I'm saying?
Me and Ted were even deliberating before you joined the thing that, yeah, should we say Bayo or
I was
Bayo?
like, Bayo,
Yeah,
man.
I
Bayo.
know. Listen, if you know it, those that know would just be like, Mum, it's Bayo, man. I'm like, yeah. You know, cuz, you get me. So yeah, Pops is from there, Mum's from Lagos. And the last time I went back was 2005. And funnily, my kids haven't been back, and we all planned to go May, but then lockdown happened, so we couldn't take them back, sort of thing. So fingers crossed, by the grace of God, it's all open again, and I'll take my kids back in May. But I'm trying to go November, international break, if they open up the borders, but that looks very unlikely.
No, sick. The next one is from Steve Carson, and he was like, ask him about his first memory of supporting Liverpool.
First memory, you know, my first memory that always comes to mind is us losing to Arsenal when Arsenal had to come down and win by 2 clear goals
to win the title.
for the title. I think it was the 89.
Yeah, 89.
It was 1989,
yeah.
and there was like, listen, and you know, back then it was massive. Liverpool, Arsenal. So if you didn't support Liverpool, you supported Arsenal, especially the youngsters, especially in my state anyway. So it was like, yeah, they need to go down to Anfield and beat them 2-0. It's like, that's not happening. Like, the title's ours, best believe. And then Michael Thomas scores one, and then Michael Thomas is like, right. And then it's funny because I got told we won it the next year, and I can't even remember. I literally can't remember that Liverpool won it in 1990, but I can remember the 1989 when we lost it to Arsenal. So that's probably the first kind of memory that sticks out for me.
Another one from me. If you were going to pick a five-a-side team in world football right now, goalkeeper, midfielder, defender, and striker, who would those players be?
Oh, wow, that's a hard one on the spot. All right, my goalie would be Alisson anyway, and my centre-back would be VVD. So they're the two that come straight off the bat. My top man, right now, are we going right now?
Yes, right now.
So right now, my striker would be Lewandowski.
Yeah.
My midfielder would be, so I've got what? 2 more. I'd have Mane and KDB in my team.
Wow.
Yeah.
Liverpool.
That's a solid team.
Liverpool, you're a Liverpool fan. We're not going to complain.
Yeah. Listen, do you know the thing is, I was even on the podcast, I did something, and like I was getting ripped because I picked my team of the month, and it was before the arse whooping that Aston Villa gave us. But let's move past that. So, and they were ripping me about, just Liverpool sports. But I do think Ellison's the best goalie in the Prem.
I agree.
That's what I'm saying. Virgil van Dijk's the best centre half in the Prem.
Yeah,
and I think Mane is one of the best wide forwards or in the Prem at the moment. So they're the 3 that I'd put them in my team just because I think that. But then they were, it's Liverpool. I was like, look, Mum, you can't get mad at me because I think them 3 are the best players and they happen to play for the team I support. But anyway, that's my 5-a-side team anyway.
Last question from me, bro. I was on another podcast and they actually asked me this, and I was like, you know what, that's a good one, so I'm going to use it on our podcast. So the question is, you're going to the supermarket and you're looking for a meal deal. What is your go-to meal deal? Sandwich, crisp, drink?
Oh, but it literally depends. Like 10 weeks ago, it would have been different because I was on a different meal plan at that time. So now, if I was to do now, it would be a sandwich, a water, and it would be pineapple. That's what it'd be now.
Okay, what sandwich? What sandwich?
Oh, to be fair, I'm either a roast chicken, maybe a chicken sweet corn.
Yeah.
You know them man there. You know what I'm saying? They're my go-to now. But like 10 weeks ago, it would have been like the same chicken. It would have been McCoy's. It would have been a Fanta or a Lucasade. That's what it would have been. I'm gonna keep it 100 with the people. Come on, man. But now, like, to be fair, that's what it would be. Like, pineapple was probably my favourite fruit. To be fair, I never ever thought I'd enjoy drinking water because I would only drink water while working out. But actually, you know, they say it takes, 8 weeks to break or to start a new habit or break a new habit. Yeah. So I actually start drinking water now. And then, it'd be a roast chicken sandwich or chicken sweet corn and mayo sandwich. You can't beat that with some brown bread. Come on,
makes sense.
Lovely. Yeah, so obviously being Nigerians, we got talented musicians. So who you having? Burna Boy, Wizkid, or Davido? Rank them.
The worst thing is they asked me this question just between Wizkid and Davido, and I couldn't answer it. Let alone find Burna Boy in it now. Oh, see. Like currently, it's hard, man. That's all. Like, look, it's hard.
No, you have to answer.
It's hard. So you're saying
people are gonna get
on man. You got to give us some granularity, bro.
People are gonna get onto you.
Are you saying 1, 2, or 3?
You can't sit on the fence.
You saying 1, 2, or 3?
1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, rank.
I mean.
Yeah, rank.
1, 2, or 3. Burna Boy, Davido, We're going Davido, Wizkid, Burna Boy. Don't ever go wrong about the missus. The missus beats it. That's what we're going with.
Yeah, last one from DSC, LFC. He said, ask Bio, as you're such a big Liverpool fan, why do you give interviews to The Sun?
Do you know, okay, so I remember getting this. So I think 4 years ago, maybe longer than that, I can't remember one interview I gave to The Sun. What certain Liverpool fans got to understand is when The Sun put exclusive, they're not exclusive. They're literally picking up stories and running with it. So I won't ever say, I remember doing one thing, and this is what I'm talking about. To be fair, it could be longer than that. I did one thing, I can't remember what it was, and I think it was in conjunction with my club. Maybe we had an FA Cup tie and they had came down and they did it. But what they need to stop getting at me on this thing. So I'll be getting messages saying, oh, first I was getting people saying I work for The Sun, that I'm like, yo, listen. And this is where, look, that happens on social media. And I'm like, look, you lot can say what you want to say, but you can type in The Sun right now and they would say, Akinfenwa wants to be a wrestler, rah, rah. I haven't spoke to them. I spoke to them in time.
Yeah, it gets picked up.
They will pick it up and run with it. And then all of a sudden, certain Liverpool fans will turn around and be like, oh, why are you running? Listen, stop that. Like, you know, and that's the thing which I don't understand why they are. But I support Liverpool. I'm not needing validation or justifications from you, man. You know what I'm saying? And they'll be like, you're just jumping on the bandwagon. These kids that are saying I'm older than them. So I'm like, yo, big man, I'm older than you. How am I jumping on bandwagons? Like, so that's what it is. So those people, I beg, check it. When they put exclusive, it's not. I don't do interviews with it. They will pick up stories and run with their blogs. And that's what they will do with it.
Yeah, they're probably going to take this and make this.
Well, and then you're going to say, like, it's so exclusive. Man, doing it with the beautiful game. Let them live their life, yeah? Don't mold with me, yeah?
Nah, man, it's been a pleasure, bro. We're going to leave it there. For a chance to win the brand new FIFA 21, the best comment in the YouTube will be in with a chance and we'll pick a random winner. Bayo, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the platform.
Pleasure's been
No,
mine,
love,
fellas.
love Bayo, man. This means a lot to us. You know,
Pleasure's been
support.
mine.
Love, bro.
We're gonna stay in contact with you, bro, man. Definitely.
100%. Listen, I'm here. Pleasure's been mine. I always feel that you can't fake energy. This energy's been real. It's been authentic. It's been a beautiful thing. A beautiful thing for a beautiful game podcast.
Lovely.
That's what the platform is here to do, man. You get what I'm trying to say? But yeah, we're gonna leave it there. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Our Twitter handle is @podcast_TBG, and our Instagram is @pod_TBG. Is there anything you want to say?
Yeah, YouTube, the Beautiful Game podcast. And yeah, Bayo, it's been a pleasure. Hope you get back fit as soon as possible. I mean, watch you on those screens. Take care, bro.
Blessings. All right, fellas, blessings. Love.
Yeah, we're going to leave it there. Peace.